Hello, Star Wars fans. Today is going to be the breakdown and reaction to episode number 3. I really enjoyed this episode. I mean, granted, it was shorter in length. We were kind of spoiled by episodes 1 and 2 being really long, but that's fine. Sometimes the episodes should end quickly and leave you wanting more, right? I just hope the links keep getting higher and higher as we go on, especially with the finale. I mean, Disney Plus has kind of suffered as of late with finales that are a little short and don't really wrap everything up. But I have a feeling Ahsoka's going to stick the landing, so very excited. All right, so there will be spoilers in this. If you haven't seen the episode yet, make sure to catch it first. But assuming you've seen it, let's dive right in, see what we can find out. So I will mention this is actually the last video in August, so your last chance to enter. All you need to do is be a subscriber and leave a comment, and you will be entered for a chance to win one of these 3 books, or of course, as Star Wars fans, we throw in the 4th one because, timelines, gotta love it. I will announce the winner in the next video, and also I will say I'm going to do this contest again in September because it's been really popular. People seem to really enjoy it. So yeah, look for it to start up again in September, and also for the winner to be announced. Best of luck to everyone. All right, so Huyang, I loved this. He was definitely channeling his inner General Grievous, right? Look at him with the 4 lightsabers. Now, of course, they weren't real lightsabers. They're just practice tools. But still, with him being voiced by David Tennant, who has played some major villains in his past, it was just kind of fun to see him looking so Grievous-like. But really what's cool is to see Sabine training to be, I don't know, what, a Jedi? Or maybe just training to learn to use the Force better and to be able to use it in combat. That's a real good question. I mean, in fact, let me know in the comments. What do you think? Is Sabine's end goal to be a Jedi or just to be better with the Force? What is Ahsoka's end goal? Does Ahsoka even want her to be a Jedi? I mean, Huyang made the point. There are very few Mandalorian Jedis. Now, granted, the most famous and one of the few Mandalorian Jedis is Tar Vizsla, the one who created the Darksaber. And of course, the Darksaber played a major role in all the Mandalorian episodes. But here's what's interesting. The Vizsla name is key because Sabine Wren is part of House Vizsla. She's Clan Wren, but House Vizsla. So if anyone in the Mandalorian culture has a chance to become another Jedi, the next Mandalorian Jedi, it's Sabine, right? So yeah, let me know. What are your thoughts? Is that even her goal? Very interesting to see. Nonetheless, we know she is trying to at least be better with the Force, so they go with the whole helmet thing, right? I tell you what, those things always freak me out. I would not want to do that. But they have a long history, right? Luke did it in A New Hope. And of course, we've seen younglings doing it in the prequel series. But I'm telling you what, as a dad myself, there is no way I would let my kid put on a helmet and stand there with a lightsaber that close to other kids. Holy mackerel. That is leading to a dismemberment or a beheading for sure. My goodness. Guys, distance yourself a little bit. 6-foot distance, please. Anyway, very, very cool to see all this training happening between Ahsoka and Sabine, their relationship deepening throughout it. I love it. Very, very cool. All right, on the other hand, we have Hera, who's going to give her status update to Chancellor Mon Mothma and the other senators. So very cool. I'm always happy to see Mon Mothma show up. We last saw her in Andor. We've seen her all over the place. She's just a fantastic character. Also, she name drops Jason. Very, very cool, right? Jason is Hera and Kanan's son. Kanan, of course, passed away during the Rebels episodes. And not only does Jason get name dropped, but he shows up in the very next scene, right? And so cute. He wants to be a Jedi. Of course he does, just like his dad. I love that. And I think the actor they got to play him is great. You can see the resemblance, aged up a little bit because it's been a little while since we last saw him in Rebels, but aged up. He kept the green hair. That's cool. And his ears, I thought that was clever. They kind of covered his ears because we got to wait and see what they're going to look like. Will they look like they did in Rebels? I bet so. In fact, you can kind of see the lobe. It does kind of look like it's going to be a bigger sized ear. So very cool. Can't wait to see him again. A lot of fun. Also, another name drop. Now, this one I did not see coming. Senator Xiono, officially a full name, Hamato Xiono. Who is this guy, right? Well, I know that people may be feeling, oh man, see, I should have watched Rebels. I should have watched Clone Wars because I know who all these characters are. No, actually, it wouldn't have mattered. You could have watched both of those and you still wouldn't know who this guy is because he is actually from Star Wars Resistance. Now, Resistance takes place right before the sequel trilogy. And I'm telling you, I probably would not ask even my worst enemy to watch Resistance. Oh man, it's it's just not good. Yeah. I've watched every bit of Star Wars media. I'm even watching Young Jedi Adventures to absorb it all. But man, Resistance, oof. Anyway, Hamato Ziono is the father of Kazuda, or Kaz, as they call him throughout the series. And boy, he's got to be one of the most annoying characters that Filoni's created. But anyway, watch it if you want for completeness. But just kind of cool still to hear a reference to now someone who is going to appear in Resistance. Filoni and Favreau are really tying all of Star Wars together, the lore and the timeline. So cool. So cool. I'm telling you, though, I'm kind of rooting against the New Republic. They are really starting to honk me off. I mean, here they are saying we have former Imperials working throughout every level of the New Republic government, and they've all taken oaths of loyalty. So basically they're saying, hey, we're fine with all these ex-Imperials sprinkled everywhere, and this oath they've taken, that makes them all perfect. There's no problems, right? And I love Hera coming back and going, long live the Empire. Doesn't sound like the kind of loyalty we're looking for. Amen. Preach it, sister. I tell you, I understand how this is happening and why it's happening, right? I mean, even in American history, there were a lot of German scientists brought over after World War II. We see it in the Oppenheimer movie even. But we've seen how badly it ended, at least in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. / the MCU, because they brought over German scientists and they became Hydra and the downfall of S.H.I.E.L.D. So it's just frustrating to see this happening. You're like, guys, don't you understand? You can't trust these folks this easily. You got to be watching them at least. Be watching what they're doing a little bit. But nonetheless, it's kind of funny to see the New Republic starting off pretty poorly. And I feel so sorry for Mon Mothma standing there thinking, we won for this? This is going to be very interesting to see if she appears again and how she continues to respond to these situations. Nonetheless, this is very important to the plot because now Hera can't go help. And basically it's leaving Sabine and Ahsoka on their own. Speaking of, they're stuck out there in a space battle. I loved the space battle. It was fantastic over Seatos, the planet Seatos. But every time I see high value either Jedis or in this case villains, we don't know Sith or not, it's hard to say. But whenever I see them get in a spaceship, I'm like, oh, what are you doing? I mean, all your awesome Jedi powers, all your Force powers, they're worthless when you're just sitting in a ship that one hit and you're destroyed, right? At least Shin and Marrok's ships that they were all in, with one hit and they were destroyed. Now, Ahsoka and Sabine seem to have shields, so they took several hits, which I feel a little safer in that. But oh my gosh, it's like a death trap. It's like a death trap. And speaking of Marrok, he's in one too, right? This is just, it's like when Vader was in the TIE Fighter in A New Hope. I'm like, what are you doing? You're going to get killed. This is crazy. Anyway, nonetheless, Marrok, let's talk a little bit about him. There's been so many guesses as to who on earth is under that mask. And Ezra is at the top of the list for a lot of folks. I don't get it. I don't see how it could be Ezra because how did he get back, right? But hey, you never know. It could be. And I'll be honest, they're kind of making us wonder because at the beginning, when they shift through all the different masks and droids, etc., normally blue is shown as the color for someone good and red is the color for someone bad. Well, Marrok's got a blue tint. Does that mean something? Are they trying to hint at maybe this is someone who's actually good? I mean, or, Ezra being good but maybe being brainwashed or something? But at the same time, Sabine gets a red. So what does that mean? Are they just messing with us now? Maybe the color scheme doesn't mean anything, or maybe something bad's going to happen with Sabine. Maybe she's going to learn to use the Force and turn bad. I don't know. You don't want to read too much stuff into this, but up to this point, blue has been good and red has been bad. So who knows? Anyway, I don't personally think it's Ezra, but it is an interesting theory. And so, that's one more clue that potentially that's where they're going. I've also heard very interesting theories, though, that Marrok might be Starkiller. So Starkiller is a character from the games that right now is not considered canon. He's part of the legends. But why this is such an interesting theory is he was Darth Vader slash Anakin, right? But Darth Vader's Padawan. So after he became Vader, he had a new Padawan. Well, if it turned out Marrok is the Star Killer, which would mean they're making it canon, then that would mean Anakin's original Padawan, Ahsoka, is fighting Anakin's new Padawan, Star Killer. Wow. Wild. Okay, that would be fascinating. And another reason why people are wondering is because Sam Witwer, who's a very famous voice actor in Star Wars, he voiced Starkiller. And people noticed that he has been in the credits for Ahsoka. Now, he does lots of voice work, way more than just Starkiller. I mean, very famously, he voiced Darth Maul in both Clone Wars and Rebels. In fact, you might remember him screaming in Rebels, "Kenobi!" Look at that, man. He is just so much passion. So much passion. Dude's awesome. Anyway, so people are wondering, because he's been showing up in the credits, does that mean maybe he's playing Starkiller? But, I mean, Marrok, here they are saying it's some dude, Paul Darnell. Sorry, Paul, I don't know who you are. Maybe he's somebody famous. But anyway, that's not Sam Witwer's name. So, I don't know. Who is Marrok, right? Let me know in the comments. What do you think? Who do you think Marrok is? Is he Ezra? Is he Starkiller? Is he somebody else we're not even aware of? Or maybe do we just never find out who he is? Is it going to be another armor situation in Mandalorian where we just never saw the mask come off and it didn't matter? It's a mystery. So anyway, very interesting. All right, so back to this space battle. I did not see this coming. That was epic when Ahsoka gets out on the ship. I'm assuming wearing some type of magnetic boots. I don't know. But yeah, they all go after her. Now, there's a part of me that's thinking, why don't you fire at the ship? Why are you firing at her? But that's kind of the whole point. She went out there to bait them, to be like, oh, here I am. Get me, get me. And of course, yeah, they go after her, which is perfect. That's what she wanted. And they do actually hit the ship a couple times. Obviously, again, it has pretty strong shields because it didn't blow up after one shot. But oh, man. What an epic move this was, right? To jump off the ship, swing through the air, use your saber to just rake down it, and obviously, boom, it's done. It's toast. Wow. Very, very cool. I've never seen anything like this before in Star Wars. This was sweet. Okay, so then once they get down to the planet, we do learn a little bit more about this hyperspace ring. In fact, they figure out it is a hyperspace ring. And they ask, could a ring like this make a jump to a neighboring galaxy? It's cool if you think about it. What has Star Wars always been? A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. But the key is a galaxy. Now we're talking about multiple galaxies, a whole different galaxy. I mean, there's so much to explore in a new galaxy. What a cool concept that they're going with here. I love it. But they're asking Hu Yang, could you go to a neighboring galaxy with this thing? And Hu Yang drops some very good exposition. He says the Jedi archives speak of an intergalactic hyperspace lane between galaxies which used to follow the migration paths of star whales named Purrgil. There's our good old buddy, the Purrgil, coming up yet again. Love it. Love it. It's all really tying together here. In fact, remember, we saw the Purrgil as part of the little star map that they were looking at there. You can see the image there in the circle. And, of course, the Purrgil were the ones that decimated both Thrawn and Ezra at the end, destroying the ship and transporting them away to somewhere at the end of Rebels. So, yeah, very cool. It's all really tying together, and we get to see them finally. We get to see live-action Purrgil. They look really sweet. Space whales, baby. Space whales. Okay, so what does this all mean? Well, a very clever Redditor that runs the Star Wars Ahsoka Reddit account translated the ending credits. And it really wasn't too difficult once they figured out a couple of the planets. It was a very nice runic one-to-one letter translation. But let's look at what they figured out. So we see our different maps as you flow through the credits, and here's how they translate. Arcana, and of course that was the planet from the very first episode, right, where they found the map. So that's cool. It starts there. That makes sense. The map travels then through several planets we've seen. Lothal, obviously, is Ezra's homeworld, and that's where Sabine was there in the opening episodes. Mandalore, we all know Mandalore, right? Yavin, that's where the Battle of Yavin was in A New Hope. Dathomir, the Witches of Dathomir have been mentioned. And the fact that Morgan Elsbeth is is a witch herself, seemingly. That's very cool. Corellia has been mentioned before, Corellian Run, very cool. Then we move on to Coruscant. Of course, Coruscant, very famous. That's shown up all over the place in Mandalorian, etc. Then finally we get to Seatos. Seatos is where they're at now, right? And building that hyperspace gateway. And there's the Purgle on the map. All fits in, right? And then now we're leaving Seatos and presumably heading to the new galaxy. So we got this planet Odin with a Y, not an I. But remember, there's a lot of Norse mythology that we've seen, the references. Both Baylen and Shin, their last names, Skoll and Hati, are wolves, as we talked about in the last breakdown. So here we are with Odin. More Norse stuff going on. Very cool. And then there's a planet where we really can't translate the last letter because basically it didn't show up anywhere else. If you remember, this was the translation in the letters that people knew. This is the only time this letter's been used. So, is it Kona? Is it, maybe it's an X, Ziona? Or a Z, Zona? Who knows, right? But anyway, that may or may not be important. We'll have to see. Then finally, the map leads to Peridia. That's the planet they've been talking about, the mythological planet that no one knew existed for certain. And that's where I think we're going to find Ezra and Thrawn eventually. So very cool. I love this, that somebody took the time to translate this. If you can't find it anywhere else, you'll find it on Reddit because everything's there. Okay, so wrapping it up, we see Baylen Skoll then taking charge, baby. Taking charge. He knows the Jedi have taken refuge in the forest, because that's where Ahsoka and Sabine have settled down. And so, yeah, it's going to be a big fight coming between Baylen and Ahsoka, is my guess. And as you can tell, he still seems really troubled by what he has to do. I appreciate that. I really appreciate the fact that he doesn't want to kill anybody, particularly not a Jedi, but he'll do it if he has to. So it's going to be very interesting to see when he and Ahsoka finally square off. All right, so I always include the timeline just as a reference to things. In fact, and there's Ahsoka there in the middle. And I did mention Resistance earlier, right? That's where Resistance fits in the timeline. It leads up to and even overlaps a little bit with the sequel trilogy. So very cool. And of course, then here's Tales of the Jedi's timeline. So don't forget, be a subscriber, leave a comment, enter the contest. And as I always like to mention, we do have a Discord server. Here we are talking about Star Wars. I will leave a pinned comment so that you can join the Discord if you'd like. Also, if you don't mind, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. You can check out more content, and we can all wait for the next exciting episode of Ahsoka.